right, welcome to the Money Shop. I am joining Bobby this week to talk about something that Bobby and I have in common, and that is a love for the movie Wolf of Wall Street.
This is the only thing we have in common.
It really, truly is the only thing we have in common. That and we work at the same place. That's it.
Well, yeah,
really. Yeah. But yeah, Bobby and I talk about Wolf of Wall Street probably more than maybe most people do.
Yeah, it's really shaped my life in a lot of ways. It's my inspiration for trying to grow this business.
No. Well, it is inspired a lot of stuff at Stellar because we've done several presentations that have Wolf of Wall Street imagery, the safe for work images.
There's not a lot in that movie. Just so people know, we prepped for this by watching Wolf of Wall Street. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I love Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, I just, almost everything he's in, I was having this conversation with my mother-in-law because she's like a movie person. Pretty much every movie he's in is really good, with the exception of, I think it's The Aviator. Is that one? That's one of the ones?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it wasn't a great movie, but I like almost everything he's in.
I watched it when I was younger, and I left the movie theater like halfway through because I was like, this is so boring. Now, I think older me would come back and watch it and like it a lot more. Didn't like that one. And then, what was the other one? Was it Shutter Island? Was that something he was in?
Yes.
I didn't really love that
one. That was kind of like a thriller.
Yeah, it's like kind of a thriller, like a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, that's not my cup of tea, I guess.
I like Catch Me If You Can a lot. I feel like that had a
that's what we were talking about. Yeah, because that movie is freaking great. And it's got Tom Hanks in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is I could binge Tom Hanks movies. I freaking love that guy.
So this might be weird, us talking about movies right now, because this is not a film podcast by any means, but we had the idea to talk about Wolf of Wall Street and rewatch it from the perspective of like what went wrong with Jordan Belfort as a business person. Bobby, you cannot say that if he had only adopted EOS, things would be better. Like, I'm just going to put that out there.
Not allowed to say that. I think if he had done more cocaine, he would have been more successful, you know?
More cocaine, less Quaaludes.
Yeah, the lewds are, we'll get into it.
Yes. So anyway, this episode of The Money Shop, we're just going to talk about The Wolf of Wall Street from a business and leadership perspective. And I do have to admit that I used ChatGPT to pull together a kind of a discussion guide for this episode for us to watch. It's like book club for Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm for it. I think I don't know. This is cool because I think, you can only talk about like money and business so much. You got to break it up with a good movie review. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think there is so much business, entrepreneurship, leadership stuff in a lot of movies.
Yes.
So it's easy to.
Especially this one.
Yes. So before we get into like some of the points, Bobby, what is it that you enjoy so much about Wolf of Wall Street?
Leonardo DiCaprio, again, I thought he was really solid, but I actually think the unsung hero of this movie was Jonah. What's his name? Jonah Hill?
Yes.
I freaking love that character. That character is so amazing, and Jonah does it so perfectly. And he's just like the right amount of completely unhinged.
Yes.
And I don't even know, actually, after watching the movie, I don't even know what he does in the business at all. Like I couldn't gather like I think he's like the COO or something. Or
yeah, at one point I think they refer to him as a vice president.
Yeah, he's like the vice president, but he just seems like he's like the chief fun officer. Like he just figures out like the awesome. He's like the guy that brings the drugs. He's the guy that brings in the fun to the office.
Mm-hmm.
He's a complete degenerate, which a lot of them are in the movie.
Yeah.
But he's got the teeth in that movie, like the ridiculous veneers, which are hilarious.
The way he dresses.
Yes. He makes that movie so good. What was the original question? Like, what do I like about the movie?
Yeah. And going back to Jonah Hill really quickly, how fun would it be to play that role? Like, that just seems like it would have been a blast.
I'm sure they were cracking up on set the entire time because it was he's so off the wall. I think it's that movie's really interesting because there is a real Jordan Belfort in real life, and he's now like a sales coach, I guess. And it's just interesting to see, like, I knew about his story vaguely. Like I knew he had gone to prison. I knew he had done something on Wall Street, but I didn't really know what it was. And I have no idea how close to reality this movie actually was. I think it's probably pretty dramatized stuff based on what happened in the movie. But I thought the whole thing was fascinating. And I really like the early Leonardo DiCaprio part of that movie where it was just like this guy who, was kind of new in this Wall Street world. And then he gets into the stockbroker stuff, and it like, just to see his, like, he's so hungry and his like transformation, he's so good at sales. And then it just turns into complete greed after that.
Yes.
But I thought it was just, I don't know, I thought it was really good. And the other thing I really liked about that movie was that Matthew McConaughey is in it in a very limited role. But like, that character is freaking awesome.
And just needed more of him.
Oh yeah, I wish he had been in more of the movie, but like that, I don't know. I actually forgot. I got to the end of the movie the other night. I forgot it was a Martin Scorsese movie.
Same.
I remembered it was a really good movie. But I forgot he was the director. And generally speaking, I really like his movies. I just think that this one was a little bit different than I think his other movies in some ways, because it was just so crazy. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's just a solid movie, and it's funny, and it's just a wild movie. I don't know. It's just and it gives you an insight into like what it might have been like in the, what was this, the 90s or the 80s?
It looks like late 80s through early
like the 80s. Like that was a wild time, apparently. Lots of craziness. So it just gives you kind of an insight into a time that I was not really alive for. I was born in 88, but I wasn't a part of that. So just overall, I like it a lot.
Yeah, there's something about that style of movie. I originally thought it was the same director who did The Big Short.
Oh yeah.
I like that one a lot. And it kind of has that same feeling. It's funny. It's, you learn a lot about this real life thing that happened, but in like a comical way. It's still educational.
Right.
And then there's like a little bit of everything. There's like, there's some drama, there's humor, there's like, it would be a stretch to call it a love story, but between him and his wife, maybe a little like some hijinks, like there's just a little bit of everything. It really like takes you on a journey. And I didn't realize it's like a 3-hour long movie. Like,
yeah, I watched it over 2 nights. I can't sit down and watch an entire movie with the kids
these
days. Did you know the character that Margot Robbie plays? I think I told you this in a meeting the other day. Like, she is now a grief counselor or something. Or she helps people. She's a PhD, and she helps people deal with people that have narcissistic personality disorder.
Which makes so much sense.
It makes a ton of sense because, she went through some stuff. It was great for a while though. Which is probably how it is with people like that. She was living a great life. She had the yacht. She knew things were going on, but she kind of ignored it for a while because, she had a kid, and then the end of the movie, it totally unravels, and that's when he just goes completely off the rails. But she did go through it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just start going through these discussion points. So question is, we look at Jordan Belfort's character, and he is like a very charismatic person.
Yes.
Like, I see my first thought was, this is a cult leader. Like, he is a cult leader. And, it takes a charismatic individual to do what he did. So how can a leader use charisma to inspire their team, to inspire their company, to drive vision without manipulation?
This is a question that I don't know the answer to. Can you use charisma, or is it something that you just have? You know what I mean?
I think you have charisma, but I think you can maybe leverage that to inspire. Let's see.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, if you are a friendly person, you can use that friendliness to your advantage to build relationships and that kind of thing.
Yes, I think that's probably the way it works. Like, very charismatic people, I feel like it's kind of like a dangerous skill to have, because I think it wields a lot of power, because you can definitely, you can pump people up. And that was the thing he was really good at. I think some of the better scenes in the movie were the ones where he was standing in front of all the people that work for him, and he's giving them the speech, and he's like, I'm not leaving. That. I think that it can be infectious, and people can feed off of that. But then clearly, in his case, you can also use it to totally manipulate people or guide them in the wrong way. So I don't know if it's something that you use, but I think one of the things that he did well in the movie was he was great at motivating the troops.
Yes.
And I feel like as a business owner, it becomes a big part of your job. And I think it's actually something that you have to really practice, because and this because you're in the leadership team, and you see what's going on in the company. Pretty much every single day, something bad happens.
Yes.
There's always some your whole day.
Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big.
Yes. And sometimes it's not really a big deal, but it's every single day, I feel like when you're trying to scale a company, especially, it's every day's a battle. And it is very easy. And I found myself in this place many times where you're just like, Jesus, can we just get a win here? Like, can we just have something good go for us? But sometimes you have to, even if you're not doing well as a business owner, you still have to like, you can't always show that to everybody. Like you can't just like let everybody in the business like take on the burden that you have.
Right.
And that's a difficult thing. Now, we aren't supposed to be talking about EOS too much. One of the things that's cool about EOS, that the structure is that you've got your leadership team and you can be a little bit more like open and kind of vulnerable about like what's hard and what you're going through. And especially like with the visionary integrator relationship, like I tell you all of the things that I'm not happy about. Like,
right.
Often. And then you kind of filter that to the team. But you do have to put that aside sometimes. And you have to recognize like, okay, I can't just be like gloom and doom all the time. Like I've got to try to highlight the great things that are happening. And it's hard to do that. But that's something that you could like, that's where that charisma can come in. And that's where your energy really does matter. Cause you do see it. Like if I'm really energetic one day and I'm like pumped about stuff, you kind of see a lift in everybody.
Right.
And on days where I'm kind of like, oh my God, this is really hard. Like you kind of see everybody take that on too. So it's a hard skill to learn. I'm still learning how to do it, to be honest with you.
Well, and I think about, you mentioned like your energy, how when it would be like up, the whole team would be kind of like feeding off of that. And I think that is, before we had an operating system in place, we would just kind of like follow that energy. Like, okay, we're excited about this. Let's go this direction. But I think what's different with somebody who has charisma or some kind of like that, like glow versus somebody who has it and has, like Jordan Belfort, he does not have a moral compass.
No.
And maybe he did at one point and he lost it. It broke, like it's something, it was not pointing in the right direction. And so I think that having a moral compass, I think you have to have like a personal one, but I think you have to have one for your business as well. Like we have that with our core focus. We have core values that we worked on. We like refer back to constantly. And I can't tell you how many times a week I'm thinking, does this align with one of our core values? Is this like upholding it in our actions? And so I think without those things, you can just go in a completely different direction. And the question is specifically talking about manipulation. Like, I think that would having that moral compass, some like ethical component to your business will prevent the manipulation, I would hope.
Yeah,
I would
assume.
Should. Yes. In
the movie, it's like, I've thought about that part of the movie a lot where it's like and I think it's probably pretty common, like he just started chasing the money.
Right.
And really like his says it early in the movie. He's like, I want to take these people's money because I can spend it better. Like like it's better in my hands because I can do better things with it. I think the moral compass is huge, but I also think the downfall of that whole situation was that he also surrounded himself with a bunch of degenerates that also did not have a moral compass. So you just had a whole group of people and nobody was checks and balances. The only like check and balance in the movie was the dad, and he was like totally ineffective. Like he'd come in and be like, Jordan, you spent $50,000 on dinner, and they're just joking about it. But it's a big part of like, yes, you internally as a leader have to have the moral compass, but you also have to like have people around you that will tell you that you can throw ideas at, and that they'll tell you if like, no, this doesn't align with what we want to do, and you have to accept that. Like, there's, I don't know, it's a weird place because you're always like, you start getting in this place as a business owner where you have payroll and you've got expenses and you've got these things, and you're like, well, we could do one thing and we could take one path that maybe doesn't align with where we're going, but it's going to make us a lot of money. And I'm not talking about like bad things. I'm just saying like product ideas or revenue streams or whatever, but you have to have people in the room that are like keeping you focused, because you have a lot of ideas as a business owner usually, and it's like you got to have people to keep you on track. And if you don't have that, then you can just wander around and drag the whole team around, which is what we used to do. So sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I think we learned why we are doing what we're doing now.
Yes,
we learned 100%. The hard way from all that. And that whole thing, talking about that, like that question leads into another one, which is like, how do you maintain some sense of humility going through a period of success or rapid growth? Because it feels like, I would imagine that, and even things that I've done in the company where I'm like seeing them like do well, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm awesome. Like, look what I just did. But you have to still like, check your ego and realize that everything could fall apart and that you still have to listen to people. So how do you maintain humility during rapid success?
I think that comes with experience and age and wisdom. Because I'm sure when Mike and I started Laptop Empires back in 2018, we had a lot of success very, very quickly, and it was very easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling like this is easy, and like we are never like, I just had this feeling because I didn't know enough back then of just like, well, we can't lose. Like we just can't freaking lose. Everything we do turns to gold, and this is amazing. And so we did a lot of stupid things because, like, one of the examples I always give, we had a cartoon artist on retainer and we paid this guy thousands of dollars a month to make images of Biggie Snugs, which was our mascot that we made up because we were like, why not? Let's have a company mascot. And we paid this guy so much money for literally just pictures of things. And it was like one of those things, like, now I would be like, okay, we've got a large influx of revenue coming in. We need to set aside some for taxes. We need to set it for dinner. We need to do this. We got to, like, you do smart things with the money.
Right.
We thought at the time that it was just going to be so easy to continue making money. And it was for a long time, that we would just do things that were fun, which is exactly what happened in that movie.
Right.
They had tons of money coming in. They didn't even know what to do with it. So they just started doing ridiculous fun stuff. But then as, like I said, the wisdom comes in and the age, you will, I think, always get kicked in the teeth in many ways. And so you go through that cycle enough of like, oh, this is amazing. We're doing really well. And then there's always a downside to that. And then it feels really crappy when that comes in, because then it's just reality sets in that, like, oh, business is not easy. And you're not always, like, things come in cycles. You build up to a certain point, things go really well. And then there's either it's the economy, or your product doesn't fit with the audience anymore, or the offer kind of dies, or you get too bloated, you have too many people and you didn't hire the right people. Something always comes. And so then you go through that enough times. I've probably been through that cycle maybe 3 or 4 times in my career now, to where now it's not like I try really hard to tell myself, like, not to be too pessimistic about things. Like, I don't want, like, things to go really well, and then I'm always like, oh, things are going to be bad around the corner. I've learned that it's like, enjoy it when it's good, but be smart so that you can set yourself up to do really well even when things aren't going well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That you learn from past choices, past mistakes, learn how to make it better. How do you think, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, you just don't learn those lessons until you get the painful lessons, though, in my experience. I think that there are some business owners that just get incredibly lucky for long periods of time. Or they're just really smart and they're able to, like, correctly see the trends. Like, I've met business owners like that, where it's like it seems like they have some kind of special ability to, like, time things perfectly, or like they know it's like, okay, we're going to get to this point and we're going to do great. Then we're going to sell the company because the downswing is coming soon. Like, I've seen that over and over again. Some people just have that special ability. I don't think I'm one of those people yet. I think that also can come with experience. But to me, the learning has come from the painful moments. But every single time I've been able to draw back on those moments and go, oh, I learned this during this period of time. Now we can take those learnings and implement it while we're doing well now to hopefully continue the success moving forward.
So one of the things that I thought of to this question is, like, having a team that you can trust and accept feedback from.
Yeah.
And, I think with, going back to Wolf of Wall Street, he didn't, you said he's got this team of degenerates around him who also have no moral compass, who are all just, like, so driven by money and not helping others people. Actually, just the money's first. And if somebody else wins along the way, cool. But it's us first. How do you think that something like a team of people you can trust plays into this, your ability to have some humility and check your ego during these moments?
I mean, if you hire it right, it I don't think that, like, you or Jess or Ashley, I don't feel like, I'm talking about the leadership team here, I don't think anybody has a real problem speaking up and telling me that something is not a good idea. I don't think so.
I agree.
Now, I don't think that that's something that I have. Well, I don't know. I got to think about if I specifically cultivated that. Maybe. Like, I have made hires in the past where I was like, I think this person is going to disagree with me a lot, and I think that's a good thing. But that's actually not a great way to hire either, because then it's just constant conflict. I think there's a lot of trust. I think where all of that comes from Like you have to hire well, you have to hire people that you think have really good potential, but you also have to show them that they have the ability to push back on you.
Right.
And I think that some people really, I think 10 years ago, I would have really struggled with that because I think I had a lot more ego 10 years ago than I do now. But I feel very comfortable, and I think it's my job to like allow you, for example, to tell me that I'm wrong and then accept that. Like, even if it doesn't feel good in the moment, I don't think we have those moments very often anymore.
No.
But you have to give people that latitude to be able to do it, because the last thing that I think you want is a group of people that just agree with you about everything all the time. Because you're going to go the wrong direction.
For sure. And I think that happened in this scenario too.
Yeah.
In this movie.
In that movie, geez, yeah. He just had a bunch of guys that were just yes men around him, and it looked like a lot of fun. So I think it's just that is a skill too that you learn over time. Like, I hate to use that as the answer for everything, but like I'm just finding that in my business experience. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I feel like it's just time has made me a better business owner. And then I think 10 years from now, hopefully I'm going to be a much better business owner than I am now. But you just have to let people tell you no, and you have to allow that culture to exist. And if you do that, I think that trickles down to everything else. Like, then I think that the people that they're close with you in the company see you act that way, and then the people that are underneath them, they allow that to happen too. And then you just get like open and honest feedback, because the opposite of that is if you shut everything down, then your employees don't bring anything to you that they think is a problem, and then they will literally hide the fact that they don't know things or that they have concerns about something, and you won't find out until they leave the company one day or something goes horrifically wrong that they knew about, but they didn't want to tell you because they didn't want to get in trouble. Like, it's just a learned skill over time.
Well, and I think it's not even always just like being willing to listen to people tell you no, to tell you no. I think it's also like, I'm somebody, I think I process things out loud a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot of it. And so I know that we'll have discussions sometimes where, somebody will have an idea about something and I will question it in a way that could come off as like, I don't agree with this, but it's really like, I need to understand it, to really know what to do with this. I have to ask a lot of questions. And to some people that can come off, that can seem like you don't trust them or something, that you don't believe that that this is the right thing to do. And so I think having a culture where you can all just ask questions to process things and like not take this as criticism. It's just like, we're trying to find clarity right now on what's going on and making sure that we are on the same page with it and all that kind of stuff, I think is really good as well.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, there is going to be, I think with that system of thought of like, because I've verbally processed things a lot too. And I feel like it's gotten me in trouble sometimes. And I think I've actually put a better filter on when I do that. But when that does happen, you are going to have conflict in some way. That's unavoidable. And I think that's the other mistake a lot of people make, is like, they don't want to have any conflict at all, ever.
Yes.
And I think that's a bad thing. I think just having a scenario where you're like, we're not ever going to disagree about something, just kind of causes the same issues. Like, you're just never really getting to the root of problems, and people aren't saying things that they have disagreements with or that they're concerned about. And so then you never find out until it's too late. And so I think one thing that we've done a good job of is like, I know you and I can disagree, but it's never like personal. Like, I don't ever feel like it gets like ugly or anything. Like, I might in the moment disagree with you, but I feel like we always can come back very quickly and like talk about it and then just move on from it. And I think that's, if you show people a lot of respect, I think we have a lot of like, we do that around here. Then I think that you can have these like kind of micro disagreements about things without it turning into like personally hurting someone in some way.
Yeah. And I think this is all like a culture thing, which is a good segue to another question, which is, how did Stratton Oakmont's culture contribute to both its rapid growth and its implosion? And for a second, can we talk about that name, Stratton Oakmont? Like, when he like first reveals it, he's like, we're going to be a company that, rich people, wealthy people can connect to. So let's put together like, okay, here's the name of a country club.
Right.
And a wealthy suburb of somewhere in upstate New York or something, merge them together. Oakmont.
They put the lion logo on there. So what was the question? How did the culture contribute to the downfall?
Well, both the growth and downfall of it.
Well, the growth side of it is everything was about, you go out there and you sell whatever you need to sell to whoever you need to sell it to. And it doesn't matter if they make money. We don't care if they do well. We don't care if this is good for them long term. You get the money. That was the culture in a nutshell. And I've seen that like in the online space. I've seen that happen before. I'm not going to say like names of companies because that would be not cool. But I will say in the internet sales space, particularly, there is like a bro culture of sales, and
this is very much bro culture in this movie. Yes, for sure.
It is bro culture. Although there were a lot of women in there that were totally down with the bro culture. Women's can be bros. Yes, exactly.
Women's can be bros.
Women's can be bros. So I've seen that though, where it's just like you do whatever you do to close the deal. Like it doesn't matter if you're on a sales call with somebody, you have like push every emotional button that you can possibly do, use urgency as much as you can, get them feeling really bad about their current situation, and then reach out this branch of hope that is the product. And that is a way to make a lot of money very quickly. The problem with it, especially in a business like ours, where we have like coaching programs and we have courses and we have services that we sell, when you sell somebody into a program that way, they come into it like they make an emotional decision. They're very excited about it when they make that emotional decision. Then they jump in. And if the fulfillment and the results don't match what was sold to them, they very quickly become unhappy people. And they want, like, that's where your reputation gets destroyed. People want refunds. Like, that's where it can get really ugly, and your retention drops like crazy. Like, you just can't keep those people in your business. That's why I like the way that we do it, where yes, we sell things, but we don't do it in a one call close scenario. I mean, those happen if it's a great fit person and we have the perfect thing for them or whatever. But like, we're not telling our salesperson, Jess, to go out there and like, you have to close them on one call.
Yeah, crush their spirit and then sell them the thing that's going to lift them back up.
Yeah. And so Jess approaches it, and this is an approach that I agree with a lot. And I think it's a better way with, like, she calls it like the kitchen table close, where basically it's just like, you have the call, you see if the person's a good fit, you make the offer. And then if it's not the right time for them, that's fine. But then you just follow up and you continue having conversations with that person. But you do it in a way to where it's like, we have a solution for you. We know this is going to work really well. And if you come in, we're going to treat you really well. And you're going to see that through our onboarding process, and you're going to see that through the fulfillment process, and you're going to love what we do.
It's building a relationship.
Yes. The problem with it, and going back to like the internet sales culture or bro stuff, is that takes longer. Right. Like, our sales cycle takes longer than if we did one call closes with a lot of pressure and a lot of urgency and a lot of emotional pulling. So it's not a quick scaling way to do sales. I think it is a foundational way to do sales, to where you're truly building a foundation of your business, where the people come into your programs, they come into your services, and they like it a lot. And then they stay with you as a customer for a very long time. It takes longer to realize that return on kind of time investment, but I think it's healthier. I think it feels better to do in the moment. Like, the team feels better about it, and you will make more money. It's just going to take you longer, right? So like, I think what happened at Stratton Oakmont, is that what it's called?
Yes. Stratton Oakmont.
Yeah. They just went for the quick wins, and you can scale super quick. You can make a lot of money that way. And I think a lot of people that are in this situation where it's like, get sales in the door, because sales cures a lot of things in business, or at least puts Band-Aids on a lot of things in business. It's like, we'll do that and bring the money in, and we'll figure out the fulfillment, and we'll figure out the customer happiness and the retention and, all of that stuff later. And I think that it's, once you have a culture where it's like kind of toxic, very salesy, pushy people, I think it's very hard to go back and fix the culture after.
Oh, for sure. And they tell you, I mean, early on when and I think you already said it, where they're like, we're just here to make money. Like, for us, like, it's not about, there is no fulfillment on the other side for the customer or the client where they're getting anything out of it. They're, like, the goal is that they're almost the goal is that they're not getting anything out of it, you know?
Yeah. And, well, literally, like, they're just like, if the customer loses, like the penny stocks, that wasn't Stratton Oakmont, but like, he sold these penny stocks of this like advanced air radar technology company that was like a shack in the middle of nowhere. Right. And it was like, does that company even do anything? No. Like, is this guy going to make any money? No. Like, he's going to lose. But the idea was like, just get him excited, get him to buy, and then you go back and get him excited and get him to buy again. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of dishonesty in that approach too. There, in that movie, if you watch how they did sales, there was a lot of just straight up lying. And it was like, that is, again, it's a way to make money, and it's an effective way to make money, but it's what did the dad say? Like the something will come home to roost or whatever, like the
chickens come home to roost.
I think he said the chickens come home to roost. And that is true. Like, I think eventually, and if you see people and you see companies that are like, we do X amount of millions per whatever, and they're selling these products based on that, it's like, yeah, you do for now, but you might not later. And maybe you do later. Maybe you keep it going for a long time, but it's like, do you feel good about it? Or are you just like, does it feel right to do that? And does it create the right company culture? And that's all stuff that you have to decide as a business owner and a leadership team and all of that. But the way we've decided to do it, like, I try to think about it in how are we going to build Stellar over the next decade? We have goals, like 3-year goals and things like that, but it's like, I want to build something that lasts and has like some real weight to it as a company and legacy. And so that just takes longer, and you have to be okay with that.
We had a meeting earlier today, just finished a launch of Brilliant Bookkeeper and Facebook Side Hustle, and we had a postmortem for the launch. Some of the things that you're saying reminded me of something that came out of that with the marketing. This isn't sales, so the marketing side of it, where we used to have more like emotionally driven marketing. Mm-hmm. And we were realizing that where people are, especially with Brilliant Bookkeeper, which is for people who are more focused on facts, like tangible things, and they're numbers driven. They're looking for something that they can connect those things to. And so what we've realized is that the marketing for that is really like they are drawn in by the facts, the education of it. And those people who are drawn in by that end up doing much better in the program than the people who come in on this like emotional plea, like, you're hard luck right now, down and out, we're going to help you out. And so I think that was a really neat thing to realize. We've taken a lot of that, the emotional stuff out of the marketing, but seeing how much more people connect with the stuff that is actually factual, educational. And that's a really neat thing. And then I think that you do have a longer term relationship with those people, and they are going to succeed through it. It may take longer to sell them, but but I think it's the right thing.
There are I do think that there are times, I believe that the emotional marketing, there's a place for it, because there are a lot of people that I've seen just throughout my career doing this that have so much potential, but it's literally just fear is like the only thing that's holding them back. They've got everything else that they could, but they just stay stuck for a very long time because they're so scared they're going to fail. And so I do think the emotional messages and kind of just the, kind of leap of faith style marketing and stuff like that.
I think that's more like mindset though. It's not like there's something different about like the mindset versus the I just go back to the Proofreading Launchpad landing page. That was like it told this very sad story about me, and but I think the mindset stuff feels like that's the part that is people need to hear.
Right.
Push through this pain,
Yeah. And I think the way that we kind of handle it now, and I can speak to how Jess is on a call with somebody, she approaches it from a coaching standpoint.
Right.
Where it's if she sees that somebody's a great fit for something and there's a real opportunity, but they're just having fear-based objections or whatever, it's just I'm going to coach you through this. And even if you don't buy the product, that's fine, but you're at least going to come away from this call with a better mindset, better attitude toward business. I think that builds trust with people, but I think it yes, it addresses the emotional pieces of a person. It might be a factor why they buy something, but it's not the main pull. And that's, I think that's where to me, it's just a balance. There is that kind of emotional storytelling and painting a future for somebody in sales. I think that's a big part of sales, but you also you have to be able to back it up with something that actually gets somebody there.
Yes.
That's a big part of it. But yeah, we are finding, especially I don't know if it's something that we've just kind of stumbled onto, but we're finding that the people that are in corporate gigs, for example, that have either been laid off or they just don't want to live the corporate burnout life, those people are much different buyers than a person that would have come in to one of our programs from the early day Millennial Money Man list, which was just personal finance, people that wanted a side hustle. The corporate style people that come into programs are very focused. They have a lot of skills. Their tool bag is very big. It has got a lot of tools in it. And they aren't looking for that emotional message. They just want exactly what you said. It's they just want to know how exactly does this work? What are the levers that I can pull to make this work? What hard things do I have to do to be successful with this? And they're usually good with that. Like that's all they need. Whereas somebody that's like down on their luck or, just kind of wandering around and hasn't figured something out, they're not thinking in that way. They're just thinking about like, my life doesn't feel the way I want it to. And is there something that I can maybe buy that will help me get my life in a better direction? But what we find is like when those people come in, it's harder to get them to do things. Like it's more difficult to get them to like show up to coaching calls and like stay in the programs for a long time and really push and do the things that are uncomfortable for success. So I don't know what the original question was. I think this whole podcast is me just forgetting what the original question was.
That's okay. But I think that's all. I think we got to the
gist of it. Yeah.
The gist of it. But this is like the next thing that I wanted to talk about was like the sales specifically at Stratton Oakmont, Jordan's Jordan's sales
script or whatever.
Well, just his sales training, his sales process. Like, I don't even know that you'd call it a process, but actually I think he did have a process for it for sure. And what legitimate elements of that sales training that he did with his team do you think could be applied to an ethical sales organization? And I will say that had I thought about this question like the first time that I'd watched this movie or even the first few times, I would have said there's nothing that you could gain and use in an ethical way. Yeah. But I feel like that script that he gave his team, the training, I know less about sales than you do, but having your team fully prepared for taking calls, how to speak to people on calls, what to say, what to do, how to respond, like that is so valuable. I mean, even things like answering customers' emails, having like some bullet points for you where you can answer things easily, just preparing your team, that can obviously be used in a legit ethical business.
So yeah, I mean, it is very common. Like if you have what in our line of work, I guess you would call a closer. We don't really call it that at Stellar, but typically in the online coaching space where you're selling things like biz op opportunities or whatever, like you have a closer who is basically a salesperson. Having a script for that person, that's like, you get a lot of young people that typically want to go into that line of work, and they're usually like very hungry and they like sales and they want to move up. They might be a call setter before where it's like all they do is basically get people booked on calls and they want to move up to closing. Like having a script for them is very helpful because if you've never done a sales call before, they are extremely intimidating. Even if you feel great about the product, the product inside and out, like having a conversation one-on-one with a person that you're trying to sell something to is very uncomfortable if you've never done it before, because people have all of these defenses that they can put up. And so like having at least a script or a place where it's easy to get lost in a sales conversation and you go off on a thread and you don't know how to get back to like the point that you're trying to get to. Having something for them to look at, that's valuable. So him having a sales script for his team, that is a very normal thing to do. The other thing that he touched on, I don't know how directly they touched on it, but just like handling objections. So like a sales objection is when somebody has a reason that they don't want to buy something, and it gets really complex because people will give you fake ones very often. And so like people don't like, if somebody's interested in buying something, but they're kind of scared or they just don't know if they want to do it yet, instead of just saying the thing that they're scared of, they will make up another thing that is much easier. And the common one is like, I've got to talk to my spouse about it, or I need to take some time. And those are typically lies. They're kind of like a white lie, that somebody tells to try to just not have to say the uncomfortable thing, which usually like if it's the spouse, it's just that they might not know enough about the product to where they feel comfortable about buying it.
Right.
Or it actually a lot of times is actually a financial concern, but they just don't want to say like, I don't have the money to do that right now. And so like the objection handling becomes really important because you're not trying to like trick people into like saying something. You're just trying to get to the real truth. Like, what is the actual issue here? Because then you can address that. So you can basically like, there's ways that you can set aside, like if somebody says, I just need more time. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, you need more time. But usually when people say that they need more time, that means that they just don't have enough information to make a decision, like, is that true? And then usually it's like, yes, that's true. And it's like, well, what information do I need to give you to where you can at least feel comfortable saying yes or no to this? And so it's like, you can, if you know what they are, then you can kind of like push them aside and get to the real truth of the matter. And I think that gives clarity to everybody, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even the person that walks away from it, it's not, because people will say like, I don't have time. I need to think about this. A lot of people become a thinker. Like, I need to think about this before I make decisions. It's like, no, you're just scared of it, or you don't know exactly what you don't know, or you need more information. You just don't want to make somebody else uncomfortable. So you can help that person by giving them information. And then they might say, yeah, this is still not a good fit for me. Where that can go wrong is that you can use those tactics and you can then apply emotional manipulation on top of that to get people to tell you the truth, be vulnerable, and then basically push them into an emotional decision to buy. And so like, that's what we don't do.
Right.
But those are, so long story short, the objection handling is helpful and something that a salesperson really needs to understand. And the sales script makes sense. I'm trying to think of what else they talked about in that movie that might have been remotely helpful for sales.
So what about like motivating the salespeople?
Now, I will say that is a real thing. So sales is a brutal job. It can be a brutal job because there's a ton of rejection in sales. You're going to hear no more often than not. And salespeople specifically have this they go through waves because it's very based on confidence, and it's based on like how you feel, because like when you feel really good on a call, like your body expression, your facial expressions change, your body language is better, your tone of voice is better. But if you have multiple calls in a row and you're not bringing in revenue and you're not hitting the targets that you need to hit, like your KPIs for the company, then you start to feel like crap. And so when you feel like crap, you show up to those calls feeling like crap, and you're supposed to lead those calls. Like, even if somebody buys or doesn't buy, like, you should still be the leader in that call. And so salespeople need a lot of external motivation usually. Even if they say that they don't, even if they're like, I'm totally self-motivated, I can totally do this, it gets really hard.
We all need it a little bit.
Yes, everybody, myself included.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you could tell yourself that, but the reality is like, you have to make sure that you are motivating your salespeople in a way that makes them feel good, because they will go out and perform better and ultimately create better client outcomes and all of that stuff. So that is very important. Now, you can get to where it's like super rah and kind of like bullshit, where every day, like, I've seen sales call or like sales trainings and sales teams that basically every day is just like a hype fest. Like, they're just hyping each other up and all that stuff. And like, I think that is exhausting to do because it's not real. And I don't know. It's like, that seems very surface level, and just, I think people could get burnout on that. So I thought that he was really good at it in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, good at it, and like good at motivating people. But also like I feel like the parties and all of that was incentive to do well, which, I mean, like, I definitely would not go as wild as any of those people did, but it did look fun, you know, just getting wrapped up in that kind of energy, and, knowing that that's at the end of like, okay, we've got these goals to meet. And if we do, I mean, I feel like I can't even say any of the things that happened at the parties on this podcast.
I don't know if we can or not. It was just all wild stuff.
Wild stuff. Yeah.
A lot of illegal things. You know
what it is. Yeah.
So I think that motivation piece is big. I think it should be authentic. And I think that you should try to highlight when your salespeople are doing really well and things that they did great, because the thing you cannot do is just constantly beat down on somebody. Like, it's got to be a balance, and it can't just be, you're doing badly, you suck forever. Right. I mean, there are times where you have to tell the truth about what you think is going on. But if you do it all the time, then you just burn them out and then they're done. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of like emotional regulation that goes into managing a sales team.
Sure.
The other thing he did a lot was he created a culture of, when you make money, you go buy expensive things. Yeah. Which is a very common theme. There is an idea in sales that you want your salespeople to be broke. Because you want them to be hungry. And so you want to incentivize them to go out and spend their money on stupid things.
See, I do not like this at all.
This is just how a lot of it.
No, I know. It's just like, ugh.
Because you want, we don't do this here, but like,
right.
like you can create a situation where you want your people to value getting a Rolex or buying a new car, or, just whatever. And because he talked about that a lot, like he would point out specific stories of like when she came into the company, she was broke, and now she's got a Gucci purse and a Rolex and put her kid through private school. Yeah. And she was all pumped about it. I think that works. I mean, I think that makes people really motivated to go out and like buy expensive stuff, but then they basically get golden handcuffs, where it's like, if they do really well and bring in a lot of money one month and then they go wrap themselves up into a car payment for a Porsche or something, then they've got to keep it going. And so like a lot of people, I think, that do sales, they want that. They want their people going out and buying stuff and like spending the money and chasing that kind of stuff, because then they're going to stay motivated.
Well, we had you had Beth on the podcast a few weeks ago. That one just came out, and she did corporate sales. And part of her story was like, she was doing well financially in sales and was getting ready to buy this very expensive condo in Chicago. And she had this moment where she realized, like, I am buying this condo because I feel like it's going to relax me, because I have this very high stress job. And the only way that I can keep this condo to relax me is to keep this high stress job. And it's this like cycle of like, and that's how people get burnt out so quickly as well, because you can't get out of it without like, okay, well, I've got to move out of this like beautiful home that I have. I've got to sell these like, amazing cars, got to pawn my Rolex, whatever it is. And it's just like a, major lifestyle shift all of a sudden.
Right.
Unless you continue.
Yeah. I think that the way that we are building Stellar, again, it's kind of frustrating because it takes longer. Like all those things that he does are cheat codes to do it really, really quickly and make a ton of money very fast. But the slower way is to make sure, one, you're hiring salespeople that's not their primary motivation. Like their primary motivation is serving people, like truly serving people. Because like if you have a really good sales call and you get somebody into a program and then they go and they start a new career and start making great money, and they actually have success with the programs, that feels really good and it's very fulfilling. So you want people that are motivated by that, but you also want people that are motivated by lifestyle. Like what could a lifestyle of them doing sales look like?
Sure.
To where they're not carrying, because a lot of times like you get, and we kind of have this situation here where like Jess was she was the visionary for TBL, and now she's the retired visionary of TBL since we acquired the company. She didn't want to continue doing that grind that comes along with like owning and pushing the company forward. Right. She wanted to be able to like go and make great money, but not have to do all of the extra stuff. And that's very common. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of business owners that get burnt out, or they tried to scale too much, or they're just tired of the grind. They go into sales because they want to have more lifestyle flexibility to where they can like jump on calls, help people, feel really good about it, make good money, and then like not have to, stay up at 3 in the morning worrying about the business. So I think that's the better way. Like those types of salespeople that are motivated by, really changing people's lives and coaching people, and also like understand what they want their life to look like and aren't just chasing like money, like flashy things. Like that's the culture you want to build. It's harder to find those people though.
Right.
It's more rare. And so that's why it takes longer.
Well, I've got one more question, because I know we could probably talk about this movie for 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yes.
But we have to stop at some point, and we're getting close to an hour.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Went by quick.
So we talked a little bit about scaling. Obviously Jordan Belfort and Stratton Oakmont they scaled very quickly. Like kudos to them on just the surface of being able to do it. Now they didn't do it in a good way, I don't think. So what is a good way? So what like foundational systems do you need to have in place to scale aggressively, or before scaling aggressively?
Yeah. This is kind of an interesting question for me, because I have tried to scale companies multiple times and failed multiple times, but this is the first time that it's actually working.
Yeah.
And so I probably, if you ask me in like 3 years from now, I'll have an even more detailed answer. But I think being able to scale, starts with having an operational system of some kind in place, having financial management in place, understanding your sales and marketing at a pretty deep level, and then having the right people, like actually being able to hire good fit people. And that takes a long time to figure out. And where I've failed, I think at least twice on the scaling, is the people side. Mm-hmm. I think that's the hardest one to figure out. Cause like you can go like buy a system like an EOS or, whatever, there's a bunch of them out there that tells you like, here's how you do your meetings. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. And you can put in place financial systems like Profit First. That's like, here's what happens with every dollar that comes in the business. Like there are roadmaps for that. People are much, much more difficult. And like there's compensation structure, there's incentives, there's having the right fit for the role. So you have to understand what kind of role there actually needs to be for a person. Have you built out that role in a way that's actually going to make people feel like they can have success? And then you've got like culture fit. Like, is this person a culture fit? Do they gel well with everybody here? You have to have your own people management skills to where you're not just burning people out and grinding people down by just yelling at them all the time. You have to understand how to hire, like what could make a good hire. You have to understand when to let somebody go when they're not a good fit. Like that takes a long time to figure out, or at least that's taken me a long time to figure out. And also you've got the money side of it. Like, people are expensive. Like, that payroll is going to be like your number one expense as you grow the company, and it's a fixed expense. So you have to have all the other things in place first. So that's kind of where we've gotten to, where I finally feel very comfortable with how we hire. I feel like I know more what to do on the people side. We're still figuring it out. Like, it's not a perfect process, but the people side is a lot more difficult than anything else. And I think I tried to scale with contractors. That was a nightmare, Then I tried to scale with employees, but I didn't quite know how to hire the right employees. And it's just been this process of like finding a person and like understand like, oh, this makes that person a really good fit. And I'm better at managing now because I understand how to work with this person. So it's a long answer. I think people can be the key to scaling a good company. You can scale with like ads, or you can, like there's a lot of different ways to scale. But I think like truly building like what we're trying to build, like this foundation and this company that will last and really have some weight to it. Figuring out the people process is the hardest part. And it takes a lot of trial and error. You have to hire and let go of a lot of people before you figure out what to do. And you have to have a lot of personal failures in management before you can understand how to actually manage and motivate people and structure and the role. And you have to sit in the role and actually do it yourself.
Yeah.
Which is something we do now. That's part of the EOS system. But that is very true. Like, if you don't even know what the job is, and I've messed this up, I've just hired somebody, like, it would be nice to have this in the company. I wish we had this person doing this thing. But like, I hadn't sat in the role. I hadn't built it out. I didn't even know what they would be doing. And then they come in and they're lost because they're like, I don't know how to be successful. And they're always running into like, electric fences all over the place because they don't even know what they're supposed to do. It's a very difficult thing to do. That's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you're talking about, like, I agree with all those things, but what you're talking about seems to apply to a business, a larger business. Well, not even larger, the small, medium-sized business. But what would be the, first 1 to 2 kind of pieces of infrastructure that somebody, a solopreneur, for example, they're around that $5,000, a month mark. What kind of things should they start to put in place infrastructure wise? Like the first thing that came to mind for me was financial infrastructure, like understanding how much you make, where it's coming from, how much you're spending on things. And then also just starting to like document processes, how you do things, tweaking that.
I think that's important. I think I'm kind of a big believer that even if you have a very light financial structure in place, like you kind of know what's going on, but you don't have like super, super structure. I think that you can get away with having not fleshed that out super well. And I think you can get away with not having fleshed out. What was the other one I was going to say? I don't remember what the other one was, but I think that you can, just by understanding how to sell and how to have conversations with people and how to keep your pipeline full, I think that you can get to 100,000 a year without a whole lot of extra structure. But where you're going to run into holes is like, you can bring people into the company, but you're not going to have them, they're not going to be customers of yours next year. And so that's where the leaking starts to happen, where it's like, you can get to 100 grand a year, just learning how to sell and have conversations with people, kind of network and fill that lead pipeline up. And you don't even need to know the rest of the stuff, but it becomes a problem very quickly when you start going, I have to consistently keep selling just to stay at the same level because I'm losing people on the back end. I'm spending too much money on infrastructure and help and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how I can pay myself. So I do still think, even saying all that, I think learning how to have conversations with people and put yourself out there.
Oh yeah.
And like be brave enough to have a sales conversation with somebody. That is a skill you have to have.
That's the hard thing for a lot of people too.
So nobody wants to do it.
Master it early on or start trying to.
Yeah. And I didn't want to do it when I first started either. Like but I was so desperate when I quit my job. I was like, I needed money. So like I had to figure out how to have sales and talk to people, even though I was very introverted and stuff. But once I think beyond, like if you're in that 50 to 100,000 a year in top line revenue, if you want to get anywhere beyond that, that's where you do have to have financial structure in place. You have to understand fulfillment. and how to make sure that you're really taking care of your customers and not creating a rat's nest of fulfillment that somebody can't help you with. Like that's where it becomes difficult. But yeah, just having conversations and putting yourself out there. I think you don't even have to get crazy at marketing. We were talking to somebody on a coaching call the other day about that. Like you can have like one thing that you do for marketing. And it's just, it can be very simple. It can just be like referrals. Like you get a client that from your inner circle of people, and you start asking them for referrals. If you can just figure out that one piece, like you don't have to spend tons of money on ads or have email marketing fleshed out or any of that. It's like, just figure out a simple way to bring leads in, simple way to close, and then figure out the rest from there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, any final takeaways? Any favorite moments from the movie? Favorite scenes?
Favorite scene. Oh, okay. My favorite scene in the movie, my wife and I freaking crack up at this part when when Jonah Hill is at his house, and the phones are bugged and they're on they're just so high on Quaaludes. And then he's like, got to get from the cut. There's like the Ludes finally quit. They click or they kick in. And then he's like, I got to drive back. And he's like, he's trying to get down the stairs in front of the country club and he can't.
Amazing.
And then he gets in the car and he thinks he drove home like perfectly. And it's just like him trying to like get to Jonah, and they're both like speaking in slow motion.
He's like pulling on the cord and it's like wrapped around his foot, and then he pulls it and it hits him in the face.
Hits him in the head. And then Jonah just starts eating, and then he starts choking on a piece of ham. It was like, I felt like that was a masterpiece of a scene.
Yes.
Because it was so funny. What are the other parts of that movie I like a lot? I think, God, anything with Jonah Hill in it, I think is really good. Another one was like when Jonah Hill is fighting with that one guy in the parking lot, and he's trying to like give him, he's trying to get the money from him and stuff. And then like they totally botch it. The guy gets arrested. Yes. Just anything. That's why I'm saying Jonah Hill is the unsung hero in that movie, because his scenes were so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think those are some of my favorite ones. And then any of the party scenes too. They're just like so well done. They like really show just like the wildest possibilities, like beyond your imagination, what kind of chaos would go on at this place.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring another it's the party one, but it's another Jonah Hill scene. It's like when I think they're playing like beer pong upstairs, and like they're in the Hamptons on the beach.
Oh, and he's got his moment. He's like, Steve Madden.
And it's like they get him all like high and drunk and whatever to get like the wisdom out of him. And he's like, Steve Madden.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's just, there's so many good moments in that movie. It's such a funny movie. I forgot how wildly inappropriate that movie is too. I was like, I'm so glad my kids are asleep right now, because if any scene, if my son walked in, I would be like, oh my God, you cannot watch this.
I was watching it. I started watching it yesterday after, while I was making dinner, and I had my laptop on the kitchen counter, and I'm just listening to it out loud. And I realized that Abe, who's 17, is in the other room. And I'm like, okay, I need to go find headphones really quickly. It was just like so quickly became, you can't hear any of these things. I mean, he's 17, it seemed like even beyond what a 17-year-old should hear, There's too much in this.
It's wildly inappropriate. Great movie though. Really
so good. So good. So if we did another movie or another podcast about a movie or show or anything, like some kind of cultural touch point about business, what would that be? I don't have anything off the top of my head.
I think Big Short could be another one. I like that movie. I think that's a good one.
Casino. I love Martin Scorsese. I said Casino.
Oh, Casino. I was actually thinking like some kind of Robert De Niro movie or something like that. Yeah, Casino would be a good one. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a list. I like this though. I thought it was fun.
Office.
The Office.
Parks and Rec.
The Office. I freaking love The Office. I would love to do The Office.
I've not watched enough of it probably to talk about it.
Not everybody can hang with that. It's the dry humor and that stuff, but like Michael Scott is the best character, and it's like office politics, leadership, what not to do constantly. So if you can watch The Office, I would be like,
or maybe if there's like an episode or two that are like,
okay, I'll try to figure out some good ones.
Some core ones.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Bobby, for doing this episode with me.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you all for listening along with us.
Yeah.
Like, follow, subscribe, all the things.
Give us movie ideas or show ideas too.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.